You know what? I think this thing is spoiling me. Here's the thing. I've pretty much consistently had potato computers, but lately I've been deep in PS4 land and I'm kind of getting used to everything looking pretty, which is mostly why I was this close to missing out on Pharmakon, which I'll be the first to admit looks absolutely hideous. I mean, look at this thing. This would make a Flash game from 2006 look good. But I'm begging you, right here, right now, don't make the same mistake I nearly did, because this is actually one of the most fascinating puzzle games I can recall playing recently. Once you look past the archaic visual design and the awkward presentation, this thing is just a wonderful pile of interesting decisions. Here's how it works. You are Agent Randomly Generated Number, piloting a drone through a series of missions. You decide what equipment your drone is given by fitting these tetramino-style shapes into the limited amount of spaces provided. Different colors of these shapes cause different types of elemental damage. You attack a variety of monsters, each with their own associated elements, and each time you do, they hit back, doing damage to spaces on your drone. That's important because it's not the parts that are damaged, it's the spaces on the drone. If you take damage that you can't repair right now, you can try and reconfigure your drone around the damaged space. So that sets things off to an interesting start already. You've got this puzzle trying to fit the parts you need onto the drone and dealing with moving them around as the amount of damage to the ship increases. Good start. Now let's add interesting system number 2. Each drone part has an associated element. That element will be strong against one other element, weak to another, and have the rest in between. You'll start off associated with one element in particular, randomly assigned at the start of the game. Gradually, as you progress, you'll acquire parts associated with other elements. So, between each round of attacking, not only are you reconfiguring your drone in order to deal with damage, you're also shifting things around in order to do the right kind of elemental damage to the thing you're attacking. Alright, good. Now let's put something else on the pile. Let's talk enemies. When you attack, you don't just choose which enemy, you also choose what angle you attack from. Why does this matter? Because your attacks move the enemy around the battlefield. Hit him from the left, and you shunt him to the right. Enemies that bump into each other do damage, and that damage increases depending on what element those enemies are. If a monster dies, it explodes and does elemental damage to the enemies around them. So you're not just trying to kill the monsters, you're trying to do it in the right place so that they take out other monsters without you having to attack them. Okay, that sounds like enough. How many more? There's more. Your drone can only take 10 points of damage, and since you can't fit a piece on a damaged square, eventually you're gonna have to start repairing spaces. You've got a certain amount of repair points for each element, but importantly, not enough. How do you get more? By recycling parts into repair points. Each point of elemental damage a part can do can be turned into a repair point for that element, which can in turn be used to fix a damaged square. So you pile all these systems on top of each other, what you get is just a fantastic pile of interesting decisions. There are so many clever intricacies to these. Just for a single example, the choice between trashing a part or keeping it for its damage. The part that'll give you the most repair points is also the part that will do the most damage to whatever just caused that damage in the first place. You're constantly wondering whether you can survive the next round by reconfiguring and hoping that your drone doesn't take enough damage to kill it. So returning back to my original point, I worry that this is spoiling me, because I was this close to writing Pharmakon off as a crappy strategy game purely on the basis of its presentation. And yeah, for some people that presentation will be a deal breaker. The game doesn't explain the systems well, doesn't provide a great deal of story to hook you in, and yeah, it is really, really ugly. But if you can overlook that, you'll find an absolutely fascinating puzzle that's more than worth your time. I'm Stewart Griffin, and for Ready Up, I absolutely recommend Pharmakon.